My name is Mike Pregent. Happy to be here. We'd like to thank the negotiators that brought us this deal for making such a crucial mistake and being the reason we have such a strong argument against this deal. And those were the non-nuclear concessions in the JCPOA or the Iran deal. That's where the name Qasem Soleimani keeps coming up. Qasem Soleimani, at first, the negotiators said Qasem Soleimani wasn't part of this deal. Now here's what we say. If you don't know who Qasem Soleimani is, you can't vote for this deal. If you know who Qasem Soleimani is, you won't vote for this deal. This is the man responsible for killing Americans, over 500 Americans, and maiming thousands. His organization, the Quds Force, has been doing this for 36 years. So when Secretary Kerry was first asked, why did you delist, meaning why did you give sanctions relief to Qasem Soleimani, he said that's not true. Then he was presented with facts that he actually shows up in Annex 2. The next thing he said, oh, it's a different Qasem Soleimani. Then it turned out to actually be Qasem Soleimani, and then he had the nerve to mispronounce his name in congressional hearings. And what that did was it offended every veteran that knows this enemy. It offended the families of the fallen, going back 36 years, and it started this organization, Veterans Against the Deal. We started this thing, thank you. We started this thing after the president went to American University and said, anyone who supports this deal is a warmonger, an ideologue, or illogical. Well, the last people that want to go to war are the people that put the uniform on to defend this country. We train to fight war, we train to win wars, and we fight to win them as well. So, when we address the non-nuclear sanctions, you're talking about Qasem Soleimani, you're talking about the Quds Force, you're also talking about the man who put down the Green Revolution. So when you hear critics say, you know, isn't this Iran deal, isn't this the best chance for reforming Iran? We say, not if you're going to lift sanctions on the very man that puts down reformers, that puts them in jail. When the president said this deal was specifically on nuclear issues, and they said that's the reason why Justin, Amir, and Saeed remain in Iranian prisons, and Ron's whereabouts are unknown, we said, what about Annex 2, Mr. President? Annex 2, if you're not familiar with that, delists terrorist generals, delists terrorist banks, delists ships that take weapons to terrorists, and has nothing to do with the nuclear deal. I was in the intelligence community for 28 years. I know that if this Annex 2 was introduced the last week of the agreement, had that been brought to negotiators a month prior to that, the intelligence community would have had an opportunity to vet those names, and those names wouldn't be part of this deal. There would be a classified annex we'd be talking about. Annex 2 would be classified. That would have meant that the intelligence community had a chance to vet these names, because Qasem Soleimani never would have made it on, the Quds Force never would have been part of this, and the numerous terrorists and generals actually sanctioned for terrorism proliferation would have never been part of this. So thank you, negotiators, for giving us that argument. We got that argument in front of Senator Manchin, and we got that argument in front of Senator Cardin. And in both cases, they were unaware of the non-nuclear concessions, the extent to which we caved on being able to give individuals, banks, and the Quds Force money. So when people say that the money is going to go back to the Iranian people, if you want that to happen, you don't delist the terrorist generals that were sanctioned to begin with. You don't delist the banks that this money came from to begin with, and then maybe it might have a chance to go back to the Iranian people. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that every senator hears the same argument we gave Manchin and the same one we gave Cardin. And that is, no vote is safe until you vote. Iran cheats every day with the help of two signatories, Russia and China. The administration has all the evidence they don't want that Iran is cheating. And Iran has all the evidence they want that the administration won't do a thing about it. And that's what we're facing right now. So our next obstacle is to make sure that there is actually a vote on this, that there's not a filibuster. Because we want that White House Rose Garden ceremony where the signatories have to stand behind the president when he signs this into law, so we can take a picture of that. We hope they smile for the cameras so that we can put every violation Iran has the next 16 months right along with that photo of the people that made this happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Quick question, then I'll introduce the next guy. Any questions?
What do you think of arguments of Paul Pillar? I don't know if you've ever heard of him, a former CIA analyst that now teaches at Georgetown University. I spoke with him at an event about a month ago. He present this attitude of Iran's moderating, they've accepted Israel's right to exist, they want to be a regional power respected by the United States. Where does that come from? What do you think of that?
Well, the best thing that they can do is say things like that. This Veterans Against the Deal, we say Iran has, Iran is, and Iran will. Supporters of this deal say Iran may, Iran should, Iran could, we hope. That's the difference between what we know about Iran, a fact-based knowledge set, and this thinking. Now, I was in the intelligence community for a long time, and I've always been known as a contrarian. Not because I wanted to be one, just because I don't like groupthink, and that's what that sounds like. It sounds like groupthink.